श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे। हरि हरि बोल। So thank you once again, dear devotees, very much for kindly being here in this series of talks on Śrī-Upadeśāmṛtam. There are a total of 11 verses, and it will be ideal if we can memorize these 11 verses. Verse 1, Vacho vegam manasah krodha vegam jihva vegam udaropastha vegam etan vegan yo vishaheta dhirah sarvam abhimam prithivim sashishyat. Verse 2, अत्याहारः प्रयासश्च प्रजल्पो नियमाग्रहः जनसंगश्च लौल्यं च षड्भिर्भक्तिर्विनश्यति. Verse 3, उत्साहान्निश्चयात् धैर्यात् तत्तत्कर्म प्रवर्तनात् संगत्यागात् सतो वृत्तेः षड्भिर्भक्तिः प्रसिद्ध्यति. Verse 4, ददाति प्रतिगृह्णाति गुह्यमाख्याति पृच्छति भुङ्क्ते भोजयते चैव षड्विधं प्रीतिलक्षणम्. Verse 5, कृष्णेति यस्य गिरितं मनसा द्रियेत दीक्षास्ति चेत् प्रणतिभिश्च भजन्तमीशं शुश्रूषया भजन विज्ञमनन्यमन्य निन्दादिशून्यहृदमीप्सितसङ्गलब्ध्या. Verse 6, दृष्टैः स्वभावजनितैर्वपुषश्च दोषैर्न प्राकृतत्वमिह भक्तजनस्य पश्येत् गङ्गाम्भसां न खलु बुद्बुदफेन पङ्कैर् ब्रह्मद्रवत्वमपगच्छति नीरधर्मैः. Verse 7, स्यात् कृष्णनाम चरितादिसिताप्य विद्या पित्तोपतप्तरसनस्य न रोचिकानु किन्त्वादरादनुदिनं खलु सैव जुष्टा स्वाद्वीक्रमाद्भवति तद्गदमूलहन्त्री. Verse 8, तन्नाम रूपचरितादिसुकीर्तनानु स्मृत्योः क्रमेण रसनामनसि नियोज्य तिष्ठन् व्रजेतदनुरागी जनानुगामी कालं नयेदखिलमित्युपदेशसारम्. Verse 9, वैकुण्ठाज्जनितो वरामधुपुरी तत्रापि रासोत्सवात् वृन्दारण्यमुदारपाणिरमणात् तत्रापि गोवर्धन राधाकुण्डमिहापि गोकुलपते प्रेमामृताप्लावनात् कुर्यादस्य विराजतो गिरितटे सेवां विवेकी न क. Verse 10, कर्मिभ्यः परितो हरेः प्रियतया व्यक्तिं ययुर्ज्ञानिनस् तेभ्यो ज्ञानविमुक्तभक्तिपरमा प्रेमैकनिष्ठास्तता तेभ्यस्ताः पशुपालपङ्कजदृशस्ताभ्योऽपि साराधिका पृष्ठा तद्वदीयं तदीयः सरसि तां नाश्रयेत् कः कृती. Verse 11, कृष्णस्योच्चैः प्रणयवसति प्रेयसीभ्योऽपि राधा कुण्डं चास्या मुनिभिरभितस्तादृगेव व्यधायि यत्प्रेष्ठैरप्यलमसुलभं किं पुनर्भक्तिभाजां तत्प्रेमेदं सकृदपि सरस्नातुराविष्करोति इति Śrī-Upadeśāmṛtam. So these devotees are the 11 verses of Śrī-Upadeśāmṛtam. Ideally, if we can memorize all these verses, it will be very, very nice. And then we will have Upadeshamritam as our kanthahar, as the necklace, around our necks. And we should have such a beautiful necklace around our necks in the form of Śrī-Upadeśāmṛtam. So continuing, dear devotees, today we are once again continuing with our detailed study of Śrī-Upadeśāmṛtam. And before we continue, once again, I'd like to offer a particular verse to Sri Rupa Goswami. रत्नाकराद्येन सुधाल्पकुम्भ आविष्कृतः सोऽस्तु महान् रमेशः यस्त्वत्र पीयूषरसाब्धिकर्ता स श्रीलरूपोऽस्ति ममेष्टदेवः. the Supreme Lord Sri Dhanvantari, the husband of Lakshmi who extracted a small jar of nectar from the large ocean, may certainly be great. However, that personality who ended up creating an entire ocean of nectar, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that personality named Srila Rupa Goswami is certainly my most worshipable deity. Dear devotees, we are studying the 7th instruction. Syat Krishna Nama Charitadi Sitapya Vidya Pitto Patapta Rasanasya Na Rochikano Kintvadarad Anudinam Khalu Saiva Jushta Swadvi Kramad Bhavati Tadgada Mula Hantri. How amazing! Even though Krishna's names, pastimes, etc. are certainly sweet like sugar candy, they do not appear tasteful to a tongue bittered by the jaundice of beginningless ignorance. However, if that same sugar candy is accepted every day with due respect, then it suddenly becomes progressively tasteful and fully destroys that jaundice at its root. So, dear devotees, last time we dived into the meaning of the term adarat, with due respect. But before we can have due respect, we should not have another disrespect. And the details of the term another were discussed in the previous talk. In the previous talk, we discussed how namabhas is another, and definitely Namaparadha is also another. So since namabhas and Namaparadha are both another, we first have begun our journey into understanding what are the Namaparadhas. And previously, we have studied 2 Namaparadhas till now in detail. We saw the list of 10 in English and how they have evolved to the current set of Namaparadhas that we have in English. And at the same time, we are looking at them in the original text of Hari Bhakti Vilas to understand a wider scope of these Namaparadhas. So last time we understood the first Namaparadha, Satam Ninda Namnah Paramam Aparadham Vitante, to critique the sadhus, and sadhus are of 2 types. Dear Dhāmeśvara Prabhu, do you remember what are the 2 types of sadhus?
Yes, you quoted the verse Mahatsevam Dharma, by Rishabdev, and it's the personalists and the impersonalists.
Yes. So both these types of sadhus are considered as sadhus here. We are not supposed to critique anyone's personal character if the personal character is good. And even if somebody's personal character is not good, in general, a Vaishnava avoids criticism as far as possible. There are certain situations in which limited criticism is allowed, and those were also specified in the previous talk. And to critique the sadhus, and not simply to critique, there were 6 things, 6 aggressions against a sadhu. Anti nindati vai dveshti, to assault a sadhu, kill a sadhu, to critique, to envy a sadhu. All these were discussed last time. So this was the first Namaparad. And the second one which we saw was Shivasya Shri Vishnu Yahya Gunanamadi Sakalam Dhiya Bhinnam Pashet Sakhalu Harinama Hitakara. And we saw how there is simultaneous difference and non-difference between the names, forms, pastimes, etc. of Bhagavan Shiva and Bhagavan Vishnu. Both have been addressed as Bhagavan in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Vishnu has also been addressed as Bhagavan. Shiva has also been addressed as Bhagavan. Previously, I specified where Vishnu has been addressed, and in the Upadeshamritam group, I also specified a verse from the 12th canto where Bhagavan Shiva, it was said, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. So Bhagavan Shiva said something. So both are in the category of Bhagavan, dear devotees, and Bhagavan Shiva is a good avatar of Bhagavan Vishnu. So therefore, we should see simultaneous non-difference and difference between both of them. And I had quoted many statements from Hari Bhakti Vilas to further drive the point that there is non-difference between Shiva and Vishnu, and at the same time there is some difference which should be acknowledged. Both these Namaparadhas were discussed in a good amount of detail. Today we are moving ahead into the third Namaparadha. Dear devotees, Shri Gopal Bhatta Goswami in the next verse says the third Namaparadha is guror avajna. So, to perform avajna, what is the meaning of avajna? There are two meanings of avajna: to disobey the Guru or to disrespect the Guru. Basically, avajna means disrespect. The Amar Kosh and other dictionaries, they say avajna avahelanam. Avajna means to disrespect somebody or to look upon somebody with contempt. So, to disrespect the spiritual master or to disrespect the order of the spiritual master, both are considered as avajna. The list of 10 offenses that we have today, it is translated as to disobey the orders of the spiritual master. This is what we have today. The Sanskrit says guror avajna, to not simply disrespect the order, but to also disrespect the Guru. That is also guror avajna, dear devotees. So we have two meanings of guror avajna: to disrespect the Guru. Second is to disobey the orders of the Guru or to disobey the Guru. So these two are the meanings of guror avajna. Now, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it has been specified by Shri Vyasadeva that one should never disrespect or trivialize the Guru. Where has it been said? So this verse is a commonly quoted verse. Acharyam mam vijaniyan navamanyeta karhichit namartya buddhya suyeta sarvadeva mayo guru. So this is Shri Krishna's instruction to Uddhav, compiled by Shri Vyasadeva in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Acharyam mam vijaniyan, one should know the Acharya as myself. Na avamanyeta karhichit, and one should never disrespect him in any way. Na martya buddhya asuyeta, one should not envy the Acharya, thinking him to be an ordinary man. Sarvadeva mayo guru, for he is the representative of all the devatas, all the gods. Dear devotees, Srila Bhaktivinode Thakura in the Harinam Chintamani specifies some aspects in which we have contempt for or we disrespect the spiritual master. In general, a person starts thinking that for some reason my spiritual master should not be afforded the respect that is due for them. Why? Sometimes they see the spiritual master with a materialistic vision, martya buddhi. And just as, my spiritual master, he just came a few years before me. Otherwise, me and him, we would have been equals. Having this buddhi, having this intelligence is avajna. Dear devotees, Srila Bhaktivinode Thakura says, one of the ways, in which one can avoid avajna or disrespect is varna vichar apeksha supatrera vichar adhika shreya. He says in Harinam Chintamani, it is more beneficial to accept a guru based on good qualification as compared to accepting a guru simply out of considerations of varna. Varna means that a guru is born in a certain Brahmana family, Kshatriya family. So better than these considerations is to accept a guru based on good qualification. Kimapyatra bhi jayante yoginah sarva yonishu. It is said in the Bharadwaj Samhita that yogis are born in all particular families. in all particular, castes and creeds in the human society. So, Naisha Chintyam Kuladikam. If a particular individual is qualified, then one should not pay too much attention to the family in which that particular person was born. So this is the first and foremost broad-minded understanding given to us by the Acharyas. We have to see how broad-minded the Acharyas and Shastra is. The Acharyas and Shastra could have said very easily that give preference to birth. But the Vaishnava Acharyas are unlimitedly merciful and broad-minded. They tell us to give preference to good qualification. And what is good qualification? That has been already specified previously. The Guru should be ideally an Uttam Adhikari, Mahabhagavat devotee of Bhagavan. That is the most ideal qualification. And if such a personality is found in any Varna, one should accept such a person without any other considerations. So this is the first way in which disrespect can be avoided. Second, diksha u shiksha guru ubhaye ke saman samman kara avashyak. This is a very important point specified by Srila Bhaktivinode Thakura, and many of us unfortunately fail on this point. It is essential to give equal respect to diksha and shiksha gurus. Sometimes we think, oh, my connection to Krishna was bestowed by the diksha guru, and therefore the most worshipable for me is the diksha guru. Of course, that is a fact. But in some cases, the diksha guru is not able to give guidance to the disciple. In that case, the disciple is taking shiksha from a particular guru. Now, that guru who is giving bhajan shiksha, that guru is also unlimitedly merciful because he is opening the doors of knowledge, the doors of realization by which we will be able to achieve Shri Krishna. Simply having a basic sambandha that I am Krishna's servant, that is okay. But how will we perfect that sambandha? How will we perfect that relationship? That entire science of perfecting that relationship is given by the Shiksha Guru. In some cases, the Diksha Guru acts as the Shiksha Guru. That is very nice. But in case we have a Shiksha Guru who is separate from the Diksha Guru, then we should ensure that we give equal respect to Diksha and Shiksha Guru. Because here, there is a big chance of developing some disrespect towards Shiksha Guru. Shiksha Guru is okay, So that should not happen. And vice versa should also not happen. Just because a Shiksha Guru is giving very good Shiksha is not sufficient ground for trivializing the Diksha Guru. So dear devotees, both things should be taken care of. Sri Sanatana Goswami then also specifies some other points to keep in our mind in order to avoid disrespect of the Guru, whether it is Shiksha Guru or Diksha Guru. Our point is guror avajna, disrespecting or disobeying the Guru. Which Guru? Shiksha Guru or Diksha Guru? Both of them are falling in this category, dear devotees. Not that only Diksha Guru or avajna. No. Guror avajna. In general, disrespecting or disobeying any particular Gurujana whom we have accepted. First and foremost, Srila Bhaktivinode Thakura says, and the Hari Bhakti Vilas also says, Pariksha. We should have some time of mutual testing between the Guru and disciple before we accept somebody as Guru. Pariksha should be, don't just accept very quickly. Hari Bhakti Vilas specifically says that on accepting a Guru quickly without consideration, there is a big chance that one may have to repent in the future. Therefore, Pariksha Kartavya. Pariksha Kartavya means one should perform mutual testing. The Guru should test the disciple. The disciple should also check if this particular Guru is really following what the Shastra says, the devotional Shastra says. So this is Pariksha. After Pariksha Kal, after checking, then once we have accepted somebody as Guru, then we must give them respect. And we must avoid disrespect. How to avoid disrespect, dear devotees? Many other ways. Sri Sanatana Goswami says in Hari Bhakti Vilas, Sri Gopal Bhatt Goswami says, Nasya nirmalya shayanam paduko pahanavavi akrame dasanam chayam asandim va kadachana napadau sarayedasya sannidhane kadachana. One should never cross over. What? Nirmalya. What is Nirmalya? The remnant garlands which have been worn by the Guru. So never cross over. Crossing over using one's foot. Never cross over. The Nirmalya, the bed. Never put your foot on the bed of the Guru. The footwear. Never cross over the footwear of the Guru. The asana, the place of sitting. The shadow. If the Guru's shadow, one should not step over or one should not cross over. The chair at any point of time. And one should never sit. Na padav sare. Never sit with one's legs spread out in front of the Guru. That is disrespect. Now, there are some devotees who are in regular service of their Gurus. Regular service means they have to perform daily service of their Gurus. So sometimes they may not be able to keep all these things in their mind. But for those of us who occasionally meet our Gurujanas, we should definitely keep all of these things in our mind. So whatever is being specified here should be avoided as much as possible. This is what should be avoided as much as possible. So these are the first set of things. Please don't try. In general, the mood is don't cross over any paraphernalia of the Guru with one's feet. And don't spread one's legs in front of the Guru. This is also disrespect. Because we have to understand what is the meaning of disrespect. Guror avajna. How do we disrespect the Guru? So there are many ways in which one disrespects the Guru. So these are some things. Secondly, Guror agre prithak pujam advaitam cha parityajet diksham vyakhyam prabhutvam cha guror agre vivarjayet. Guror agre prithak pujam. One must avoid certain things. What? Guror agre prithak pujam. Worshipping somebody else in front of the Guru without permission of the Guru. One should not do that. One should never make the Guru feel that you are lesser for me than this particular individual. One should never make the Guru feel in this way. Advaitam cha. Advaita means non-difference. To speak of oneself to be non-different from the Guru. So this one should not do. One should always show oneself as a subordinate of the Guru. Parityajet, give up these things. And what more to give up? Diksham, giving initiation in the presence of the Guru. So here it means in the physical presence of the Guru. One should not give initiation to others. Vyakhyam, one should not explain Shastra to others in front of the Guru without permission. Only if the Guru says, you explain, then one should explain. Otherwise, if a particular explanation of Shastra has been asked and the Guru is present, then one should wait for the Guru to explain. If the Guru asks and gives permission that you explain, then with the permission of the Guru, one should explain. And prabhutvam cha, and showing any sort of expertise in front of the Guru without the permission. So, in short, never supersede the spiritual master. So, this is one very important thing. So, there was a book written, a self-help book written. Recently, it is called 48 Laws of Power. And somebody happened to, gift me a copy. So, I just quickly opened, and one of the principles written there, never outdo the master. So I immediately remembered that Hari Bhakti Vilas has so many instructions on never outdo the master, especially in front of the master. So these instructions, dear devotee, are very, very important for all of us. And we should remember these instructions. So this is, very nice. Now let's move ahead. Another thing. Sri Gopal Bhatt Goswami says, Natam agyapayen mohat tasyagyam na chalanghayet Na nivedya guruh kinchit bhoktavyam va gurostatha. Na tam agyapayan mohat. Out of delusion, one should never in one dreams also order the guru. Mohat. Out of delusion, somebody sometimes says, it's okay, I'm staying so much with my guru. Once I can order my guru. Guru Maharaj, can you get me a glass of water, please? I'm doing some seva for you. Guru Maharaj, can you get me a glass of water? Na tam agyapayan mohat. This is not the dharma of a servant. The servant's dharma is to take care of the spiritual master and to never expect any service in return. So, natam agyapayan mohat. Tasya agyam na chalankayet. And one should never disobey his order. And na anivedya guruh kinchit bhoktavyam va gurosatha. And one should never eat anything without offering it to the guru. If the guru is present physically, then we should offer everything that we are eating first to the guru. And if the guru is not physically present, then in front of the deities there is a picture painting of the guru. We should offer it to the guru. This is general Vaishnava principles, dear devotees. So in front of the guru, how to behave, all these things have been specified. Now, here it is specified, tasya agyam nacha langhayet. Do not disobey his order. There are certain individuals who are useless servants according to Shastra. Shastra calls them sevaka adhamaha, the most useless type of servants. And there is an anonymous verse. There is no specific author ascribed to this verse, but this verse is very nice because it specifies the 6 types of useless servants. Alirbano jyotishakah stabdhi bhutah kimekakah preshita preshakaschaiva shadete sevakadhaman. Shad ete, these 6. Sevaka adhamaha are the lowest types of servants. Who are these 6? Alihi. Alihi means like a bumblebee. A bumblebee goes from one flower to another flower to third flower. So similarly, there are some disciples who are always looking for greener pastures. Today I liked Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu's explanations of Shastra. Wow. Tomorrow I liked somebody else's explanation, so I jumped to him and goodbye Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu. Thank you for helping me, but now no more connection. So these people are useless servants. They are looking only for their own convenience and they have not been trained in a culture of seva. So this is alihi. Bano. Ban means arrow. So if we have seen people who are archers, we will see they put tapes on their fingers. Why do they put tapes on their fingers? Because when they're shooting arrows, the arrow ends up, hurting their fingers sometimes. So, bano. So, an arrow gradually starts hurting the bowman who is shooting the arrows. So, the second type of disciple is like a ban, an arrow who wounds the master. There are some disciples who, after a certain number of years, turn against their own guru and go out on a public expose of their guru's faults. And these people are considered to be like ban, like an arrow, which wounds their master. If the spiritual master is in good standing, then one should never ever think of taking such a drastic step, dear devotees. Jyotishaka. Third is the Jyotishaka. When good time will come, then I will follow the order of my Guru Maharaj. I know my Guru Maharaj has given me an order. Right now, the stars are not aligned properly. After 10 years, I will have sufficient amount of money. Then I will be able to do so. Third, this is the Jyotishaka. Kim ekakaha. Fourth is Kim ekakaha. No, Stabdi Bhuta. Stabdi Bhuta means is a dull person, a dullard. Oh, I don't know what to do. Yeah, Guru Maharaj told me, but I am not intelligent. Arey, you were intelligent in accepting the Guru, and the Guru is intelligent in training you. After the Guru's training, you should know what should be done and what should not be done. Oh, but I am very fallen. So, stabdi bhuta. This is bewildered, dull, inactive. Kime kakaha. Oh, can I do it alone? Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu, Prabhu, I need, if Guru Maharaj gives me, 10 people, then I will definitely do it. So, Guru has to give me 10 people before I can execute his order. Kim ekakaha, will I be able to do alone? No. So, this is Kim ekakaha. And Preshita Preshakaschaiva. And the last one is somebody, Preshita. You have been given the order Preshaka. You pass it to somebody else. Guru Maharaj said, Hari Pārṣada, get me, a glass of, cooling fruit juice. Hari Pārṣada said to somebody else said to somebody else. And in the end, Guru Maharaj ended up getting a glass of hot milk. And so this is Preshita Preshaka. So somebody who passes the responsibility without carrying it out himself. Shadete sevakadhama. These 6 are useless servants. So tasya agyam na chalanghayet. Never disobey. These are the ways in which disciples disobey the order of the Guru. Because, the order delayed is order disobeyed. Please try to understand. So, in many ways, disciples disobey the orders of the Guru. Next, the Hari Bhakti Vilas says that one should take care while uttering the name of the Guru. In general, one should not reveal the name of one's Guru to somebody who is not like-minded. One should hide one's Guru. When I say hide the Guru, it means that one should not canvass one's Guru in front of people who are unqualified. But if we have to utter the Guru's name, then we should take some precaution. What precaution? Abhaktyan guror nama grihiniyacha yatatmavan pranavah Shri stato nama Vishnu shabdadanantaram pada shabda sametam cha natamurdhanjali yutah. So abhaktyan guror nama. One should not utter the Guru's name in a casual, non-devotional manner. Somebody asks, what is your Guru? My Guru, Krishna Das Maharaj. No. Don't casually utter his name. Some honorifics have to be added. One should prefix the Guru's name with pranava, om, followed by Shri's, Shri, tato nama Vishnu shabdad anantaram. And then followed by Vishnu shabda, pada shabda sametam cha, Vishnu pad. So om, Shri, Vishnu pad, and then one should speak the name of one's Guru. This is the recommendation of Hari Bhakti Vilas. So at least, if not this one, at least one should, say, my Guru's name is, Shri Srimad, with respect. My Guru's name is Shri Srimad, and then one should speak one's Guru's name. And it is very nice if one folds one palm and in a mood of respect, one utters the Guru's name. To even respect the name of the Guru in this way is the standard of the Vaishnavas. It is unfortunate sometimes that Vaishnavas become lazy in addressing their Gurujanas. Sometimes I have seen some Vaishnavas are writing articles and then they write like this. Jiva Goswami said, and then they quote something from Jiva Goswami and then they do the translation. And then after that they write. Here, Jiva writes that we should, he is not your cousin brother. He is Om Vishnupad Shri Srimad Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhupada. He is not your cousin brother. Here Vishwanath says, oh Baba, he is not your cousin brother. He is Vyakaran, Chanda, Nyay, Mimamsa, Ved, Vedant, Itihas, Puran, Kavya, Alankar, Vako, Vakyadi, Shastra, Para, Vara, Varen, Om Vishnupad Shri Srimad Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhupada. That is whom he is. That is his stature. So one should always take care in addressing one's Gurujanas, because disrespect also happens while uttering the name of the Gurujanas. Further, there are also some more, things to be taken care of. It also, Hari Bhakti Vilas also mentions that if the Guru's Guru comes, then one should take permission from the Guru and then worship the Guru's Guru. There the Hari Bhakti Vilas is indicating that one can become a Guru in the presence of one's Guru. There it is indicated that one can become a Guru in the presence of one's Guru, because otherwise there is no point of making that verse, Guror Guru. That if the Guru's Guru comes, then one should also offer respect to the Guru's Guru, but with permission of one's Guru. So all those things are discussed in Hari Bhakti Vilas. I am giving the main points to be taken care of while dealing with Shri Guru. And if these things we are taking care of very nicely, and we will avoid most of the, avajna, the disrespect or disobedience of Shri Guru. We have an example in our history of Srila Bhaktivinode Thakura, who actually had differences of opinion with his Diksha Guru. And Srila Bhaktivinode Thakura never ever in public expressed any contempt of his Diksha Guru at any point of time. At any point of time. Srila Bhaktivinode Thakura very clearly gave all respect to his Diksha Guru, Shri Bipin Bihari Goswami. Now some individuals say, well, Shri Bipin Bihari Goswami did not like what Srila Bhaktivinode Thakura was doing. That's okay. But at the end of the day, the disciple remained very careful in his dealing with the Guru and never disrespected the Guru. In the end, such a Guru will never ever, permanently turn away from the disciple. Because at the end, it will be taken into consideration as to how the disciple behaved towards the Guru. If the disciple has behaved nicely, Bhagavan takes care of the disciple. There is a case history in the 9th canto of Pṛṣadhra, who was a disciple of Vasishtha. Do you know this pastime, Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu Prabhu?
I forget, Prabhuji.
He was appointed by Vasishtha Muni as in charge of the cow shed, protecting the cows. And now you remember, Prabhuji? Do you remember the story? Yeah. Can you please give a small essence? Can you please give a small essence of the pastime?
He was supposed to watch the cows at night, and then a tiger came.
Right.
And he got out his sword to kill the tiger, but because it was dark, he accidentally killed a cow. And I forget what happens after that.
Yeah, so Vasishtha curses him to, take a low birth. And he does not say anything to the Guru. But it is not his fault actually. In the darkness of the night, he could not see. Pṛṣadhra leaves for the forest, and then Pṛṣadhra executes Bhakti Yoga in the forest and goes back home, back to Godhead in that very life. So dear devotees, at the end of the day, the disciple's attitude towards the Guru is very important and is taken into consideration by Bhagavan in deciding what should be done. So dear devotees, please try to understand this is how to avoid guror avajna, the third aparadha. So the fourth Namaparadha has been given by Shri Gopal Bhatta Goswami. So we are moving ahead into the fourth Namaparadha. And the fourth Namaparadha specified in the Hari Bhakti Vilas by Srila Gopal Bhatta Goswami is Shruti Shastra Nindanam. What is the meaning of Nindanam? Nindanam, as we have understood in previous Upadeshamritam sessions, Dosha Kirtanam, critiquing openly. Critiquing what? Shruti and Shastra. So here we are taking the term Shruti and Shastra as two different terms combined together in one term, Shruti Shastra. So Shruti and Shastra. So what is the meaning of Shruti? Shruti refers to the Vedas and the Vedangas, the ancillary literature which support the Vedas. And Shastra refers to Smriti Shastra, Dharma Shastra, etc. So to critique the Shrutis and Shastras pertaining to Dharma that accept the authority of the Shrutis. In the commentary named Digdarshini, Sri Sanatana Goswami specifies this: Shrutinam Dharma Shastranam cha Nindanam. To critique the Shrutis and the Dharma Shastras. So this is what is denoted by Shruti Shastra Nindanam. But before we understand further, we should know what exactly falls under the umbrella of the term Shruti. For that, we will have to refer to Mundaka Upanishad and see what is specified in the Mundaka Upanishad regarding the scope of the term Shruti. So, before we understand what is Shruti, Shastra, Nindanam, we need to understand what are the, Vedic literature. So the Vedic literature are in front of us. I had read Tatrapara Rigvedo Yajurvedah Samavedo Atharvavedah Shiksha Kalpo Vyakaranam Niruktam Chando Jyotishamiti Atha Parayaya Tadaksharam Abhigamyate. So Apara Vidya refers to basically Vidya or that particular knowledge, Vedic knowledge, which helps us in this world and also helps us to achieve liberation. But mainly it helps us in this world. What are these knowledge? What is this knowledge? So it says Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, Atharva Veda, 4 Vedas. Dear devotees, sometimes we are critiquing the 4 Vedas. Let me give you an example. Sometimes I have heard individuals say like this. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Traigunya Vishaya Veda, Nistraigunya Bhava Arjuna. Oh Arjun, reject the Vedas and take to devotional service. So Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu Prabhu, does Krishna ask us to reject the Vedas in the Bhagavad Gita?
No.
No. Because if Krishna would ask us to reject the Vedas, then what would be the difference between Krishna and Buddha? Buddha asked us to reject the Vedas, not Shri Krishna. Krishna says Vedas mainly deal with the 3 modes of material nature. Arjun, transcend these 3. Bhagavan does not tell Arjun to reject the Vedas. But sometimes we trivialize the Vedas based on such statements. We understand these statements incorrectly. And then we think that, oh, Vedas, they are no longer, relevant for us. We now have something better. So this is Shruti Shastra Nindanam. Sometimes it happens, dear devotees. So Vedas are the foundational texts of Sanatana Dharma. Anybody who does not believe in the Vedas is immediately considered as someone who has given up the path of Sanatana Dharma. Dear devotees, all of us should know Vedaha Pramanam, that Vedas are the original proof of everything that we are saying. So Vedas are the original proof. Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sam Veda, Atharva Veda. The Puranas are also sections of the Vedas. The Puranas have been elaborated by taking a few sections from the Vedas. It has been very clearly specified in the Tattva Sandarbha of Sri Jiva Goswami. Now, besides Vedas, there are Veda Anga. Veda Anga means there are 6 limbs of the Vedas. What are the 6 limbs? First is Shiksha. Shiksha is phonetics. Phonetics is how to clearly pronounce each and every syllable. From which portion of the mouth should each syllable be pronounced. So it has scientifically, logically been given. For example, all the Kantha Varga, which is all the syllables to be uttered from the throat, are placed in, one Varga, one group. Ka, Kha, Ga, Gha, Nga, all from the throat. Then Cha, Cha, all from the lower palate. The tongue has to touch the lower palate. Cha, Cha, Ja, Cha, Nya. So all these how to correctly pronounce. It has been given in which Shastra? Shiksha. In the term shiksha itself, you can see there is one sha, there is one sha. There is a difference. If you can see the term shiksha, so you can see on above one S there is a small, dash, and another S has a dot below it. Both have different pronunciations. The first sha is to be pronounced by touching the lower palate, sha, and the second is sha, that has to be pronounced by touching the upper palate. So it is not shiksha, it is shiksha, shiksha. So this is how it is to be pronounced. So this is all taught in shiksha, phonetics. Then there is kalpa, how to, these are manuals, Grahya Sutra, Shulba Sutra, how to perform Vedic sacrifices, how to design the, the sacrificial kunda in which the offerings will be given to the various devatas. And so all this is in Kalpa Shastra. Then there is Vyakaran, grammar. Without grammar, it is impossible to understand the basic meanings of the words. So dear devotees, many times, sometimes individuals say, what is the use of studying grammar? You need bhakti to understand Shastra. Of course, you need bhakti to understand the import of the Shastras. But to understand each and every word of the Shastra, you need to know the grammatical rules. So just because, you need bhakti to understand the import of Shastra should not become a cause for trivializing grammar or Vyakaran. It is said, Mukham Vyakaranam Smritam. Vyakaran is the brilliant face of the Vedas. Without Vyakaran, grammar, but the Veda will not be able to speak. So, Vyakaran. Then Nirukta, etymology, how terms in the Vedas are derived and what is the meaning of each and every term. Then there is Chandaha, prosody, how to sing each and every verse. The names of the meters, Vasanta Tilakam, Shardula Vikriditam, Anushtup, Trishtup, Gayatri, Jagati, all these meters are there in Chanda Shastra. Jyotish, Vedic astronomy mainly, and also some sections of astrology. So what is the use of astrology? It is useless, Prabhu. Wait. Have you just committed a Namaparadha? Please check. Because Jyotish is not useless. Jyotish is very useful. Garga Muni, when he came to meet Nanda Maharaj and give name to Nanda Maharaj's, newborn son, Krishna. So Garga Muni also checked all the Jyotish. Jyotish is very important. When Srila Prabhupada would begin a new journey, he would often check with a Jyotish. So, dear devotees, Jyotish is very important. But it is subordinate to the principles of bhakti. So this is what it is. Sometimes we say, what is the use of Jyotish? Jyotish is useless. No. Shruti Shastra Nindanam. You are critiquing an ancillary limb of the Vedas. What is the use of grammar? Baba, this statement is usually made by somebody who has not studied grammar. Once you study grammar, then you will understand what is the use of grammar. Dear devotees, all these branches. Today we have Chanda, prosody. So many of us, when we are studying Upadeshamritam, I have given the meters, Shardula Vikriditam, Vasanta Tilakam, all these meters and how to sing them. It has helped a lot in my own personal journey. Chanda, understanding all this. And then somebody comes and criticizes this. So it is not good. This is Shabda Brahma. All these literature are Krishna in the form of words. So if we do not want to have this aparadha upon our heads, we should avoid criticism of these literature. Paravidya includes Vedant, Upanishads, etc. So Vedanta should also not be critiqued, Upanishads, etc. should not be critiqued, by which one attains the absolute truth. So this is what it is, dear devotees. And what else is included in Shruti Shastra? Itihasa Puranam cha Panchamo Veda Uchyate. Srimad Bhagavatam says the Itihasas, Ramayana, Mahabharata, and the Puranas, they are known as Panchamo Veda. They are known as the fifth Veda. So Itihasas are Ramayana, Mahabharata, etc. I've added etc. because Harivamsh is also considered to be Itihas. Harivamsh, etc. are also Itihas. Puranas are also, they are known as the fifth Veda. Never critique any Purana. Never critique any Purana. Some Vaishnavas, out of their over enthusiasm, start critiquing Shiva Purana or other Purana, Devi Purana or something like that. Never critique any Purana. They were all composed by Shri Vyasadeva for different reasons. But they are all broad-minded. They are all broad-minded literature. They are devotees. Why? Because they are existing in harmony with each other. Ekam sat vipra bahudha vadanti. There is one absolute truth, but different Brahmanas describe the absolute truth in different manners. This is broad-minded Vedic culture. So let us learn to stay in harmony with all the varieties of literature that Shri Vyasadeva has composed for us, Vedic literature. And if this similar mood of broad-mindedness is found in any other literature in the world, any religious literature, we accept it, we welcome it. Because Vedic literature is always open for the broad-minded, dear devotees. So, having said this, there are certain literature which should be avoided under Shruti Shastra Nindanam. One should not take to heart. When I say avoid, I mean one should not take to heart the conclusions given in these literature. Which literature are these? Some of these literature originate in Bharatvarsha, in India. Some of these literature originate outside Bharatvarsha, outside India. So, without critiquing anybody's character, I am naming the literature which our acharyas have told that we should avoid taking to heart. We should not take certain literature to our heart. The propagators of this literature might have been great people, but these literature have some problematic principles. So, without casting any negativity on the propagators of this literature, I am specifying about the principles given in this literature. Which literature? Srila Jiva Goswami says in Bhakti Sandarbha, Shruti Shastra Nindanam. He says, what is the meaning of? Directly he says, Yatha Pashanda Margena Dattatreya Rishabha Devo Pasakanam Pashandinam. Shruti Shastra Nindanam. Critique of Shruti Shastra is performed by those atheistic worshippers of Dattatreya, Rishabdev, etc., who follow a non-Vedic atheistic path. I think 1 or 2 sessions ago, I said we should be careful when Bhagavan comes as a philosopher. Did I say that sometime, Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu? Or did I not say that? No?
I don't recall that.
Okay. So we should be careful when Bhagavan comes as a philosopher. Because sometimes he comes as Buddha. Sometimes he comes as Dattatreya. Sometimes he comes as Rishabdev. Sometimes he comes as Kapil Dev. Whenever Bhagavan comes as a philosopher, we should know that different people will have different takes on the philosophy, and it will end up creating some or the other deviation from the Vedic path. So the only philosopher which Bhagavan came as and whom we accept is Vyasadeva, because Vyasadeva is really the literary incarnation of Bhagavan, whose intention is to bring everybody on the Vedic path. Others, we do not know so much. Dattatreya, Rishabdev, etc. These are all incarnations of Bhagavan, forms of Bhagavan. But the philosophy which they propagated was unfortunately misunderstood by many individuals. Now, this came to me as a surprise when I read it for the first time. In the entire Sandarbhas, I had not found a critique of anybody. For the first time, Shri Jiva Goswami is saying Pashandinam. These are atheistic worshippers, and they are following Pashanda Marga, non-Vedic atheistic path. For a personality like Shri Jiva Goswami to use strong words like this, certainly there must be a reason. Because otherwise, Shri Jiva Goswami is not bothered about critiquing a particular set of philosophies. Why did Shri Jiva Goswami speak against, Dattatreya's followers, Rishabdev's followers? Because Sri Jiva Goswami had some of these followers as his contemporaries when he was staying in Shri Vrindavan. And he had seen some of the literature of these individuals. Now, in the literature of some of these individuals, some of these paths, there is direct criticism of the Vedas and the Vaishnavas. Direct criticism. I will give an example of this. For example, amongst the followers of Dattatreya, he started a sampradaya which is today known as the Natha Sampradaya. And in the Natha Sampradaya, one of the founding figures of the Natha Sampradaya is named Shri Gorakshanath. And Gorakshanath, he wrote a literature called Siddha Siddhanta Paddhati, in which he critiqued all Vedic paths. This is the verse from the Siddha Siddhanta Paddhati of Gorakshanath, where he says, Sankhya Vaishnava Vaidika Vidhi Parang Sannyasinastapasa Saura Vira Para Prapancha Nirata Bauddha Jina Shravaka Ete Kashtarata Vritha Pathagata Sattatvato Vanchitas Tasmat Siddhamatam Swabhava Samayam Dhirah Param Samshrayet. He names all those whom he is speaking against. So Gorakshanath says, Sankhya, the followers of Sankhya philosophy, Vaishnava, the Vaishnavas, Vaidika, other dedicated followers of the Vedas, Vidhipara, the ritualistic smarthas, Sannyasinas, sannyasis, dedicated to Vedanta, Tapasas, the ascetics, Saura, the worshippers of Surya, Veera Para, the Veera Shaiva worshippers of Shiva, Prapancha Nirata, the materialists, Bauddha, Jina, Buddhists, Jains, and Shravaka, all these people. Ete Kashtarata, these are all engaged in troublesome, useless paths. Vrithapatha Gatang, Sattatvato Vanchita, they are bereft of the actual truth. So he is propagating something as truth which is by deriding all other paths. Tasmat Siddhamatam, therefore, Swabhava Samaya, most sober person should take shelter of the natural innate path of the Siddha Yogi. These are the literatures of the followers of Dattatreya. There is no doubt why Sri Jiva Goswami made such a statement. If anybody is critiquing directly the Vedic path, the Vaishnavas, then the Acharyas will not keep quiet. Then the Acharyas will speak something about it, dear devotees. Then the Acharya, as I said, Srila Bhaktivinode Thakura had said some criticism is allowed. Which criticism is allowed? If somebody is clearly cheating people by taking them away from the path of Sanatana Dharma, then the Acharyas will not keep quiet. Therefore, Sri Jiva Goswami doesn't keep quiet and says Dattatreya, Rishabdev Upasakana. Now, Shri Rishabdev, it is mentioned in the 5th canto that there was a certain king who saw the activities of Rishabdev and started imitating Rishabdev. And from him came the path known as Jain Dharma. And from Jain Dharma, they do not believe in the Vedas and they speak against the Vedas. The Vedas had spoken nothing against Jain Dharma. But in the Jain Dharma, there are statements against the Vedas. So who is broad-minded in all this? Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu Prabhu, who is broad-minded in all this?
Jiva Goswami.
No, I'm the Vedic literature or these other paths. Who is more broad-minded?
The Vedic literature.
Vedic literature. The Vedic literature never spoke a word against, Gorakshanath or Sri Dattatreya or anybody. But these individuals are speaking against the Vedic path. Now, this is within Bharatvarsha, within India. If we go outside India and if we expect that the literature outside India will treat Vedic culture kindly, then sometimes, unfortunately, it is a big disappointment. Because, other literature in different parts of the world, in different religions, they treat Vedic culture with great unkindness. An example, I am giving an example of this. For example, there is a statement in the Bible which says, break down their altars, smash their sacred stones, and burn their Asherah, sacrificial poles, in the fire. Cut down the idols of their gods and wipe out their names from those places. But what did we do to deserve this. Because you are not worshipping that one God whom we believe in. But ekam sat vipra bahuda vadanti. There is one absolute truth and different people describe him differently. The absolute truth is capable of understanding that different people will describe him differently. No, we will smash your stones and burn your sacrificial poles and cut down your idols. So this is another place. It is said in the Quran, those who disbelieve and deny our signs will be the residents of hellfire. They will be there in hell forever. But what have we done? The Bible came to India in 1700, around 1700. For the first time, it came on the western shore of India. Since the birth of Christ till 1700 AD, so many hundreds of years passed, so many centuries passed, and nobody in India had heard about the Bible. What about all those people for 1600 or 1700 years who never heard about the Bible? And the Quran, after it was written, for many hundreds of years, it never reached India. What about those people who died without knowing about the Bible or the Quran? Oh, they all went to hell. Or the Christians sometimes say they are in a limbo right now. They are all waiting for Judgment Day. But why? Shouldn't the law of the Supreme be equal for everyone? No. But these people never had a chance to understand the Bible or the Quran. Doesn't matter. They were unfortunate. They are in a limbo, and some of them are in eternal hell. So, dear devotees, in this way, we expect that other literature will give respect to Vedic culture. Unfortunately, sometimes some literature do not give respect to Vedic culture. In contrast to this, Vedic path is very broad-minded. Bhagavan Krishna had correctly identified what are the characteristics of an anti-Vedic path. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is specified. Yada deveshu vedeshu goshu vipreshu sadhushu dharme mai cha vidveshah sava ashu vinashyati. Check for negativity against following individuals. Yada deveshu, one is envious of the devatas. There are various deities that have forms. Check if somebody is against, worshipping deities with forms. Vedeshu, check if somebody is against the Vedas. Goshu, check if somebody is against the cows. Vipreshu, check if somebody is against the Brahmanas. And Sadhushu, and against the sadhus in general. In every anti-Vedic path, you will find disregard of these individuals. Although these individuals have done nothing to harm the other person wants to harm them. When you see this, such a person, Krishna says, is dharme mai cha vidvesha. This person is envious of dharma and is envious of me. Sava ashu vinashyati. And then Bhagavan says, he and his civilization will be vanquished without delay. Now, how does Vedic literature perceive others, those who don't believe in Vedic literature? Let's say somebody doesn't believe in Vedic literature. What does Vedic literature have to say about them? What does Vedic literature have to say about disbelievers? So, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said, Swastyastu vishwasya khalah prasidatam dhyayantu bhutani shivam mithodhiyam manascha bhadram bhajata dadhokshaje aveshyatam no matirapya haituki. Dāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, kindly read the translation.
May there be good fortune throughout the universe, and may all envious persons be pacified. May all living entities become calm by practicing Bhakti Yoga, for by accepting devotional service they will think of each other's welfare. Therefore, let us all engage in the service of the Supreme Transcendence, Lord Shri Krishna, and always remain absorbed in thoughts of him.
Yes, this is the mood of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Vedic literature. Vyasdev could have written, May there be good fortune throughout the universe except for the disbelievers on the Vedas. May they rot in hell forever. Sri Vyasadeva could have written like this. No, 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 no. May everybody, including the envious people, those who don't believe in the Vedas, let them also be pacified. So this is broad-mindedness, dear devotees. We should never critique such a literature, which is broad-minded towards everybody, which never wishes any harm on anybody. And when we see such criticism of Vedic literature, therefore the acharyas also don't keep quiet. Like Shri Jiva Goswami spoke against the followers of Dattatreya, Rishabhdev, etc. Similarly, our acharyas have also spoken about these particular literature which are speaking against the Vedas. In one place, Srila Prabhupada says in a purport to Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Shastras of the Yavanas or meat eaters are not eternal scriptures. They have been fashioned recently and sometimes they contradict one another. The scriptures of the Yavanas are three: the Old Testament, the New Testament, and the Quran. Their compilation has a history. They are not eternal like Vedic knowledge. Therefore, although they have their arguments and reasonings, they are not very sound and transcendental. As such, modern people advanced in science and philosophy deem these scriptures unacceptable. Now, Srila Prabhupada at the same time praised the character of Jesus Christ. So he never spoke against the character of Jesus Christ. But whenever he found that certain literature is speaking against the Vedas, then Srila Prabhupada, because Vedas are broad-minded, and one should not speak against a broad-minded literature which is all-accepting. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada also said, not only Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktivinode Thakura also said something in his Tattva Vivek. He wrote a verse about the Bible. Adi jiva paradhadvai sarvesham bandhanam dhruvam tathanya jiva bhutasya vibhor dandena nishkritihi. Some philosophers say that because of the first living entity's sin, all the other living entities are imprisoned in the material world. Later, punishing himself for their sins, God delivers the living entities. This is from Tattva Vivek, first chapter, verse number 25. Then he writes a commentary. So this is the commentary by Srila Bhaktivinode Thakura on his own verse. Thinking about the virtues and faults of this world, some moralist monotheists concluded that this material world is not a place of unalloyed pleasures. Indeed, the sufferings outweigh the pleasures. They decided that the material world is a prison to punish the living entities. Now, if there is punishment, then there must be a crime. If there were no crime, then why would there be any punishment? So what crime did the living entities commit? Unable to properly answer this question, some men of small intelligence gave birth to a very wild idea. What wild idea? The wild idea is as follows. God created the first man and placed him in a pleasant garden with his wife. Then, God forbade the man to taste the fruit of the tree of knowledge. Following the evil counsel of a wicked being, the first man and woman tasted the fruit of the tree of knowledge, thus disobeying God's command. In this way, they fell from that garden into the material world filled with sufferings. Because of their offense, all other living entities are offenders from the moment of their birth. Not seeing any other way to remove this offense, God himself took birth in a human-like form, took on his own shoulders the sins of his followers, and then died. All those who follow him easily attain liberation, and all those who do not follow him fall into an eternal hell. In this way, God assumes a human-like form, punishes himself, and thus liberates the living entities. Srila Bhaktivinode Thakura says an intelligent person cannot make any sense of any of this. So in this way, Srila Bhaktivinode Thakura also spoke about this. Dear devotees, one should understand that the mood of the acharyas is not to exact vengeance against other literature. The mood of the acharyas is that the Vedas were so broad-minded. Why would anybody critique the Vedas? There's no reason for critiquing the Vedas. There's one thing, recently there is a big trend of atheism in many parts of the world. And there are the three great sages of atheism in the modern world. Dāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, have you heard of the three great sages of atheism in the modern world?
Stephen Dawkins.
Okay. Christopher Hitchens.
Sam Harris?
Yeah. So Dawkins, Hitchens, and Harris. Sometimes these are known as the three munis, the three great sages of atheism in the modern world. And these three atheists had a big problem with Christianity and Islam. Not so much of a problem with Vedic culture. Maybe they pointed out, oh, the caste system, this and that, but they never had such a big issue with Vedic culture as much as they had with Christianity and Islam. And they, in all their books, they brought out, how the Inquisitions, millions of people were killed in the name of religion, etc., so on and so forth. But none of that happened in the name of Vedic culture. None of that happened. Vedic culture, in fact, believes in karma. And that a person who believes in the Vedas and a person who does not believe in the Vedas, both are subject to the same law of karma. Many times when such things are put in front of atheists, the atheists say, yes, karma is a valid theory which I can believe in. That if there is reincarnation, then karma is a valid theory to believe in. Many atheists say like this. So they don't have much of an issue with the Vedic mood. And let's say somebody doesn't believe in the Vedas. Atheists say, if I don't believe in the Vedas, what does Vedas say about me? This is one question which many atheists ask. What do Vedas say about the disbelievers? So Vedas say the following about this. Sarvesham mangalam bhuyat, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhaved. Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, kindly read the translation.
Let there be all auspiciousness for everyone. Let everyone be free from all diseases. Let everyone perceive goodness. May nobody suffer from any miseries.
This is what Vedic literature believes for everyone, including those who disbelieve in the Vedas. So, Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, hypothetically, put yourself in the shoes of an atheist. And as an atheist, this is what Vedas think about you. What would you say about the Vedas?
Well, if I was hoping to find some faults, I'd be awfully disappointed.
So, and if you find a literature which says, oh, the atheist will go to eternal hell, then what would you think of such a literature?
I would judge it as narrow-minded and fanatical.
Yeah. So
and,
therefore, yes, Prabhuji. Yeah, please continue.
I would say it's not showing the mood of an all-loving God.
Exactly. So, dear devotees, we followers of Vedic culture, we followers of Sanatana Dharma, have nothing against any other literature or any other individual in the world. The followers of Sanatana Dharma point out the faults of other literature only when they were attacked by other literatures. Only in defense do the followers of Sanatana Dharma point out faults of other philosophies. But one thing is there, in Bharatvarsha, in the Indian subcontinent, every philosophy will be tested and thoroughly tested. And if there is any fault in the philosophy, it will be pointed out. In the land of Sanatana Dharma, wherever Sanatana Dharma is existing, there is always sharp criticism of all sorts of religiosity. And, all sorts of religiosity are thoroughly tested. They have to pass through all the litmus tests in order to be accepted as valid by followers of Sanatana Dharma. So no form of religiosity will be able to escape this, analysis or criticism from those who are learned in principles of Sanatana Dharma. Dear devotees, followers of Sanatana Dharma often critique the principles, philosophical principles of each other's schools. That is how followers of Sanatana Dharma live. They sometimes critique. A person who is an impersonalist may critique a follower of the a principle of the Vaishnava school, and a Vaishnava may critique a principle of the school of the impersonalists. But both of them are followers of Sanatana. They don't come at each other's throats. This is what it is. And they don't condemn each other to eternal hell. So that is what it is, dear devotees. This is the Vedic mood. What is the mood of the Gaudiya Vaishnava? Shri Jiva Goswami. specifies in his Radha Krishna Archan Deepika. At the end of his Radha Krishna Archan Deepika, Sri Jiva Goswami specifies the mood of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. What does he say? Uma Maheshwarau Kechit Lakshmi Narayanau Pare Te Bhajantam Bhajamastu Radha Damodarau Vayam. Uma Maheshwarau Kechit. Some people worship Uma and Maheshwar, Shiva and Parvati. Lakshmi Narayanau Pare. Some others worship Lakshmi and Narayan. Te Bhajantam. Let all these individuals happily worship these deities. Bhajamastu Radha Damodarau Vayam. We Gaudiya Vaishnavas worship Radha Damodar. So this is the mood with which the Acharyas wish to harmoniously coexist with other schools of Vedic philosophy. This is the mood of the Acharyas. And dear devotees, Sri Jiva Goswami, when he was writing these words, at that point of time, India was under the stringent grip of the Mughal Empire. That empire which was, predominantly converting people on the basis of swords. It was converting people to Islam on the basis of swords. So Sri Jiva Goswami, at the time of Sri Jiva Goswami, there was a price on the head of every sadhu. He said if you would bring the head of a sadhu, severed head of a sadhu, you would get 2 gold coins. During those times, Sri Jiva Goswami has displayed this mood, dear devotees. Sri Jiva Goswami never, wrote anything negative against any particular person. Although the most negative people were trampling over the surface of India, Sri Jiva Goswami and Sri Rupa Goswami never wrote anything against him. But Sri Jiva Goswami always hoped, always prayed that a Vaishnav king would emerge and would take care of all the schools of Sanatana Dharma. In the library of Sri Jiva Goswami, it was one of the biggest libraries in the northern part of India, in the Radha Damodar temple. All the schools of Vedic philosophy, all of their literatures were preserved in the Radha Damodar temple. One of the best libraries in the northern part of India was the library of Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhupada. In this library, there were literatures from the yoga tradition, literatures from the Jnana tradition, Mimamsa tradition, Kavya, poetics, Chanda, all branches of Sanatana Dharma. Their literature found a place in the library of Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhupada. And for this reason, today we are proud to say that we are followers of the Sampradaya, of that Sri Rupa Goswami Prabhupada and Sri Jiva Goswami Prabhupada, who had such a broad vision. Somebody wants to worship Uma Maheshwar, wonderful, no problem. You are worshipping a Vedic deity. Somebody wants to worship Lakshmi Narayan, wonderful, no problem. You are worshipping a Vedic deity. We, however, will worship Radha Damodar. Somebody doesn't want to worship a Vedic deity, wants to worship a non-Vedic deity. As long as you are not critical of the Vedas, no worries. Please do not be critical of Shruti Shastra. Those literature which are eternal and which treat all living entities equally, including the animals and birds, etc., are treated equally, dear devotees. Having said that, I have described 2 more aparadhas, guror avajna, shruti shastra nindanam. In totality, we have today till now covered 4 nama aparadhas and 6 are remaining. So I will pause my speech here, dear devotees. Yadatra skhalitam kinchit vidvamsah purayantu tat. Yadatra saushthavam kinchit tad guroreva menahi. Yadatra skhalitam kinchit. It is possible I might have made a mistake while speaking something. Vidvamsah, all of you are learned. Purayantu tat. Please correct any mistakes. Yadatra saushthavam kinchit. But if there is something nice, please remember tad guroreva. It belongs to my Gurujanas. Me nahi. It doesn't belong to me. Today, there were some sections about criticism of some other paths which are speaking against the Vedas. But please know that this is not a criticism of the individuals who founded these paths. Vedic culture always allows healthy criticism of principles of philosophy, dear devotees. So in that spirit, some criticism was done today of some paths found within India, some paths outside India. Thank you very much, dear devotees. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for another enlightening class. We're very fortunate to be here, and it's really evident in just the quality and the detail of each class. You're putting a lot of time into this. So we're very grateful to have you as a teacher. We're very grateful for each and every class, including this one.
Thank you.
So with that, we'll go on to questions and answers. And I have to give my same preamble. Please focus your questions on today's class and not on other ideas or questions that might be coming up in general. We want to focus on questions of principle and not personalities or institutions. So, for example, we wouldn't say, oh, well, in this institution, this person's doing this. What do you think about that? We would say, well, what do you think about this practice? And what's the third thing, Prabhuji?
Yeah, in general, try to please let everyone get a chance in asking their questions. Let everybody get a chance. Some people wait for a long time, and therefore we should let everyone have a chance. If you want to ask more than one question, please round robin, wait till you get your second chance. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. We'll begin with Jai Dwarka Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, my pranams Prabhuji. Thank you so much Prabhuji for nourishing us with such a broad understanding of the Shastras and with such a broad vision to accommodate all the spheres of the worship that goes in the Vedic culture Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I had this question from the last verse which you quoted uh, regarding the vision of Srila Jiva Goswami about the worshippers of Uma and Shiva. So, Prabhuji, how should we approach in this case? Because generally, when we are preaching, so what happens is that when a devotee of Lord Shiva comes, so then we generally tend to clear them the position of Lord Shiva and explain them about that. So, should we canvas them to worship like Radha Krishna? And so, should we do that, Prabhuji?
We should always invite people to worship our Ishta Devatas without giving up their existing respect of their existing Ishta Devatas. We should give our literature, our Shastras, to all those who are interested to know, and they should do a comparative study and they should understand that who is Vishnu, what is the position of Vishnu, and then if they voluntarily develop Shraddha in the path of Vaishnavism, then that will be their good fortune. That is how we are supposed to convince them. We are not supposed to convince them by incorrect methods. What are the incorrect methods? A, critiquing Bhagavan Shiva or the literature which glorify Bhagavan Shiva. Both are Namaparadhas. B, by telling them to stop their worship completely because they have existing Shraddha. So in order for them to stop their worship, that has to come naturally from them. In any case, we are not supposed to, even the Vaishnavas don't completely stop worshipping Bhagavan Shiva. Whenever they see Bhagavan Shiva, they pay respect. So in this way, one should never ever try to, because it's not a process of converting them. We are not converting them. We are convincing them. So that is the mode with which we should approach them, give them the literature, and there should be no negative talk about any Vedic deity. So that is how it should be ideally done. That is how the Acharyas also wanted. So that is the answer to the query.
But about the literatures of those deities, just like Lord Shiva, we explain that they are written in Tamas Manvantara. So we try to reduce its applicability. So is that okay, Prabhuji?
it is a historical fact that Shri Vyasadeva wrote Srimad Bhagavatam after he was dissatisfied with his 17 Puranas. And there is nothing incorrect in stating a fact. It is mentioned in the Bhagavatam. We can present all these facts to them, not with the intention of deriding, but which should tell them that please carefully consider these facts, and then you can come to a mature decision. Some people will genuinely understand what is given in the Bhagavatam, some will not understand. If somebody doesn't understand, we don't go against them. They are on a Vedic path. So let them continue on that Vedic path. Somebody understands what is given in the Bhagavatam and starts worshipping Bhagwan Vishnu or Bhagwan Krishna. Very, very nice. They are welcome to do so. That is how we should harmoniously.
Is that correct, Prabhuji? That Tamas Manvantara, is that correct? That it was written in Tamas Manvantara?
No, the certain sections within the Puranas of Bhagavan Shiva were written in another Manvantara where Bhagwan Vishnu himself wanted the glorification of Bhagavan Shiva to be greater. Why? Because different living entities have different desires, and according to the desires of the living entities, Bhagavan sometimes wants Bhagavan Shiva to be glorified as the primary deity. So that is okay. We can live with that. We can live with that. But for us, Vaishnavas, we know that Vishnu Tattva is the most supreme Tattva in the entirety of existence. And nothing can shake that fact from our hearts. That is what it is. All right?
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Next we have Dipayan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you for a very wonderful class. I just want to ask, I don't remember the shloka which you showed from the Natha Sampradaya. Could you just show that again?
Sure. It was from a literature called Siddha Siddhanta Paddhati by...
What was it saying exactly?
I am sharing my screen. You can have a look. I've also given the reference. Sankhya Vaishnava Vaidika Vidhipara Sannyasina Tapasa Ete Kashtarata. These are all following a useless, troublesome path. Vritha Patagata Sattvato Vanchita.
Okay,
so they are bereft of the actual truth.
My question was, I just had a conversation with the one devotee only some time back. So he was telling about his family. So sometimes common people may have this question that any path, the leaders of that path or people who have gone very deep into that path, they may say something like this about other paths. So, I mean, I completely understand everything that you told in the class, but like I gave from my knowledge, whatever I had some answer to him. So I just wanted to ask, what would you answer like to such a person?
You have to see that the Vaishnava Acharyas, the founding Acharyas of the Vaishnava Sampradayas, they have not made any statements about, the followers of other paths. The Vaishnava Acharyas, they don't say that sannyasis, Vedantis, worshippers of Surya are useless, following useless paths. They don't make such a statement. Have you found such a statement in the writings of the 6 Goswamis that, the sannyasis, Vedantis they are all following a useless path and devoid of the absolute truth? Have you found such, statements in the writings of the Goswamis?
If some statements regarding Mayavad or something, how does that fall it? Or how do we classify that?
Those statements are about the philosophy, not about, the people. Here it says about the people.
Okay. And some, like in Bhagavad Gita, suppose that yaha shastra vidhim utsrijya vartate kama karatah na sa siddhim avapnoti na siddhim na param gati. That kind of statement, how do we?
So yaha shastra vidhim utsrijya. One who gives up the regulations of Vedic Shastra and, behaves according to his own whims and fancies. he does not attain happiness and he does not attain the absolute destination. But he can attain other human life, which is mixed with happiness and distress. Does Bhagavan Krishna say that he goes to an eternal hell from which he never returns? Does he say like that?
Little previous
Does Bhagavan say
that is different. Yeah.
Does Bhagavan condemn anybody to an eternal hell? Simple question.
No.
So then,
Not condemn.
obviously.
Yeah.
That is the
Okay.
answer.
Thank you, Pṛṣadhra.
All right.
Next we have Madhav Tripati Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much for this wonderful lecture. Prabhuji, actually, as you stated from the Guru Tattvas, like that we have to be like very respectful towards the Guru Janas and not like so many rules and regulations were listed. So does this also apply to the counselors which we have within the institutions? So is it applicable for them as well?
So as I said, institutional questions will always be, it will always pose a difficulty. See, first thing is, I assume that you are speaking about the institution of ISKCON. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah. ISKCON as an institution on a global scale does not appoint counselors. Okay. A local ISKCON center may appoint counselors, but there is no such term defined in the law book. There is a law book of ISKCON and there is no such term defined there. The term defined in the law book of ISKCON is Shiksha Guru. And Shiksha Guru is to be selected according to one's choice. So if you may call a Shiksha Guru by a different name in your particular center, and I'm not pointing out any center in particular, but in your particular center, you may be calling them by a particular name. The term in Shastra is Shiksha Guru, Shravan Guru. So one should voluntarily select such a person. And if you have voluntarily selected somebody as a Shiksha Guru, Shravan Guru, then you should give them that respect. That is the answer to the query. All right.
Thank you so much.
Prabhuji, there was a question about Bhagavad Gita chapter 16 verse 19.
Right.
Tanaham dushita kruran samsadeshu naradhama. Is this a verse where Bhagavan is saying that he condemns people to hell forever?
No. Tanaham dvishatah kruram. Samsareshu naradhaman shipam yajasram ashubham asurishu eva yonishu. It does not say that he condemns them to hell. It says asurishu eva yonishu. See here in Bhagavad Gita 16.9. Shipami ajasram ashubhan asurishu eva yonishu. I put them in Asuri Yoni. Asuri Yoni is Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu. What is Asuri Yoni?
The birth in an ungodly family.
All right. So he's facilitating because they are dvishataha kruran. They are envious and krur. He is giving them fruits according to their existing nature. Let's see what translation is there. Various demoniac species of life. He doesn't say eternal hell. He says he's put into various Acha, Dāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, you have read about the Bilva Swarga, the subterranean heavenly planets where demoniac species of life are there. What do you have? Can you please tell us about subterranean heavenly planets in a minute?
There's a lot of material enjoyment. It's a very sensual place.
Wonderful. So, Prabhu, does that seem like eternal suffering?
No.
No. So what's the problem? One thing is there. These people will remain far away from dharma because they have performed such activities. So they will remain far away from dharma. And they will have, when they will suffer in ignorance, not knowing why they are suffering. That is the result of being krur naradham. That is the result. Never in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan will say that there is no verse saying that I will, put them in eternal hell. No, nothing like that. All right. Let's move ahead.
Excellent, Prabhuji. Next we have Omkar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dhanvat Pranam.
I pronounce it.
Prabhuji, I had a question about the Tantra Shastras. As we see, generally the Tantra Shastras, there are some mixtures. Like we accept Satvata Tantras, but at the same time, the Shakta and Shaiva Tantras we do not accept. And even in them, I think there is some difference. I mean, it's a very jumbled you can say, and there's many literatures which have popped up in the name of Tantra Shastra. I'm not saying recent, in tradition, but they are very much un-Vedic. Or you could also say about the practices of aghoris and etc. So please, could you share the light about how should we see all these kinds of paths, which are not completely anti-Vedic, at the same time they are not also Vedic.
Whether a particular path is Vedic or anti-Vedic is determined by looking at their original texts, which in Sanskrit is called Mool Grantha. By looking at their Mool Grantha, or original text, we find out what are their positions on Sanatana Dharma, what are their positions in respect to various Vedic schools, what are their positions in relation to Brahmanas, Sadhus, cows, Vishnu. See the positions of any particular sect within India on these particular things, you will quickly understand whether it is Vedic or anti-Vedic. And once you understand it to be anti-Vedic, as long as they are not at your throat, you can, they are not threatening to split your throat. Till that point of time, they can exist, but they should be willing to face philosophical criticism, because philosophical criticism will come to them in the form of many acharyas who have been following Vedic tradition, which is merciful to everyone. So I hope that answers your query.
Yes, true. So as a whole, we may not critique the Tantra Shastra, but depending upon which course we are actually speaking on, then we can speak about it.
Yeah. So criticism or non-criticism is on individual principles. There is a book named as Sarva Darshana Sangraha of Madhavacharya. Sarva Darshan Sangraha means a compilation of all the available philosophies, darshans in Bharatvarsha, in India. Because when Madhavacharya wrote Sarva Darshan Sangraha, many philosophies from outside India had not yet arrived in India. So Madhavacharya wrote Sarva Darshana Sangraha, in which he took up various philosophies, Shaiva Darshan, Vaishnava Darshan, all darshans he took up, and whichever points he disagreed with, he wrote there. Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan also has such a literature, in which he has taken up various schools of philosophy, and from various schools of philosophy, Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan has, he has elaborated upon those particular schools of philosophy. And after elaborating upon those particular schools of philosophy, then he has basically critiqued also certain points of certain schools of philosophy. There is one literature called as Tattva Deepika of Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan. I'd like to show you literature called as Tattva Deepika. I will share my screen. This was recently published from a manuscript, Tattva Deepika of Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan, Light on the Truth. Now, Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan, what you see here, can you see the list, Prabhuji?
Yes, true.
Buddhism, Jainism, Lokayat
Yes.
is Charvak, Madhyamik, Vaisheshik, Nyay, Sankhya, Yog, Mimamsa, Bhatt Mimamsa, Bheda Bhed, Pashupat, Hiranyakar, Advaita, and finally Bhagavad philosophy. So everybody has a right to write a book.
I did see this book in Vrindavan recently.
Yeah. So this was recently published. It is published from one manuscript, but it was a manuscript written by Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan. So we have a Sarva Darshan Sangraha. We have a book on all comparative philosophy, comparing all the philosophies. And this Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan has written such. I hope that answers your query.
I just wanted to add one point on this, that Sri Vedanta Desikan has written a little negative comments about Adi Shankaracharya in his, he has a style that he actually writes in a little, you could say a little negative way. So if time permits, just could shed light on this.
If any Vaishnava Acharya has written anything negative against anybody else, and if they have not given a reason for it, we don't have to always accept everything from every Vaishnava Acharya. Some things, even from Sri Madhvacharya, we don't accept. Let me give you an example of what we do not accept from Sri Madhvacharya. From Sri Madhvacharya, we do not accept that only Brahmanas can get liberated. And although that is the philosophy of Sri Madhvacharya, we don't accept, because there are many cases in the Srimad Bhagavatam of individuals in non-Brahmin families who got liberated. So, there are many things we don't accept because this is Vedic culture. Even if somebody is one's guru or in the Guru Parampara, we have a choice to, see, whether it is falling in line with Srimad Bhagavatam or not. And if it is not falling in line with Srimad Bhagavatam, we respect that Acharya. But we say in this point, we have a certain disagreement. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur once does not agree with Srila Jiva Goswami. I had given this example. Did I give this example sometime, Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu Prabhu?
Yeah, it was about eating in front of the deity.
Yeah, eating in front of the deity. The tradition is very open-minded. See, this is actually, if you see the tradition, it has a lot in parallel with how the scientists of today, one scientist may accept 90% of the theory of another scientist, but may disagree with 10% of the theory of that other scientist. But both are respectable scientists. It's a very scientific methodology of, determining the truth.
Yes,
All
Prabhu.
right.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Dhamma
I'm trying to find who's unmuted.
No, I think it was from his. It was from his mic.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Next we have Bhakti Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you again. My question is on the Dattatreya. So Dattatreya and Lord Rishabh, they are both incarnations of Lord Vishnu, correct? So we should not, in light of the second aparadh, we are not condemning them. But Gorakshanath was one of the disciples of Dattatreya. And he misspoke something, or basically said something against Vedas. So we condemn him. But if there are other Nath Sampradayas who do not follow what Gorakshanath said, then we continue respecting the other Nath Sampradaya disciples. Did I get that right, Prabhuji?
Yeah, basically, we don't condemn anybody. We condemn means it's a very strong term. We critique the anti-Vedic approach taken by the followers. See, these are the exact terms of Srila Jiva Goswami. Dattatreya Rishabha Deva Upasakanam, of the Upasakas, of the followers of Dattatreya, worshippers of Dattatreya, Rishabha, etc. Pashandinam, Pashanda Margana, those who are worshipping these forms of Bhagavan through a non-Vedic atheistic path. So actually speaking, the Natha Sampradaya it has been, the founding figures are now Naths. Matsyendranath, Gorakshanath, Naganath, Kanishnath, they are 9 Naths who are the founders of the Nath Sampradaya. Matsyendranath and Gorakshanath being the 2 prominent founders of the Nath Sampradaya. On their teachings, the entire Sampradaya is built. So if you find somebody who claims to be from Nath Sampradaya but says, I don't follow Gorakshanath, it's like saying I am a Vaishnava but I don't follow what Krishna says, or I don't follow what, I am from the Brahma Madhva Sampradaya but I don't follow what Brahma says. So you'll be hard pressed to find such a person. Usually they are the founding fathers of the Nath Sampradaya. So what they have written in their books has become a standard for the entire Nath Sampradaya. And if you go everywhere in India, you will find them with its, tongs, iron tongs. In Hindi, it is called chimta. And they will say, Alakh Niranjan. So that is what they are. So they say that, Niranjan, Alakh means alakshit. It is impersonal. The absolute truth is, impersonal. That is what they are saying. So that is their general teaching, and they have also spoken against Vaishnavas and other followers of Vedic culture. This is regretful, and for this reason, the followers of Vedic culture, Sri Jiva Goswami has spoken something negative against, such followers, because this sort of criticism is allowed. To prevent people from going into non-Vedic schools, some criticism is allowed. So this is an example of that.
And Datta Bhavani, Prabhuji, where does it was Datta Bhavani created by these founding Nath people, or is it coming actually? Is
What?
Datta Bhavani really the original? Datta Bhavani, right?
Dattavani?
Datta Bhavani, they call. I think there are 54 shlokas in it. So yes, the Dattatreya devotees generally
Okay.
chant Datta Bhavani.
Okay. So this is Mataji. These are later literatures, and
Okay.
So because it seems, because the Nath Sampradaya had a great influence in Maharashtra. Actually, the state which I come from is Maharashtra, and the Nath Sampradaya has tremendous influence in Maharashtra. Tremendous influence, and many of my own relatives were, have been followers of Nath Sampradaya. But I have seen, so many of their texts are in the Marathi language. So it seems that some of these texts were later composed, and but the original texts are from Matsyendranath and Gorakshanath, Siddha Siddhanta Paddhati, etc.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Sorry for the background noise. I didn't realize I was unmuted.
No worries.
Next, we have Parama Karuna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavad Pranam.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Very, very deep and profound points that you made, and you brought out so many different literatures. Thank you so much. It's very enlightening. Little bit, Prabhuji, if it's okay to press on the same point from before by Dipayan Prabhu on Bhagavad Gita.
Right.
So, like, there are references in that's probably the one shastra that I have done a little bit deeper study of. So references like 9.23 Avidhi Purvakam, 12.5 Klesho Adhikataras, 7.25 Naham Prakashasya. But the one that stands out in my mind the most strong, and of course the 16th chapter, but that is meant for demoniac people, so I'm not going there. That's like sinful actions. 9.11 and 9.12. So in 9.12, Lord Krishna says very strong words, and whenever I'm sort of reading Bhagavad Gita, I feel this is sort of the strongest that he is speaking. Mogha asha, mogha karmano, mogha jnana vichetashaha, rakshasi masurim chaiva, prakriti mohit mastita. So again, he's condemning them to those rakshasi masurim chaiva, but it's a mogha asha, mogha karmana, mogha jnana vichetashaha. It's pretty strong words. But then, sort of, when I went back to the previous verse, what Lord Krishna is saying, avajananti ma mudha. And on looking deeper, of course, Srila Prabhupada translates avajananti as deride me. Also looking at Sridhar Swami's commentary here, avagyane hetuhu, he says that those who are doing avagya of me.
Right.
So I think it's proving your point that those who are doing avagya of Krishna, they are receiving these consequences, as in the next verse, mogha asha, mogha karmana. But it still seems a little bit that Lord Krishna here is, again, Krishna is Bhagavan, but in our Vedic literatures and Bhagavad Gita being one of them, somehow seals a little bit of the fact that if you don't accept Krishna, then you suffer these consequences. And one can say that, there is a slight tinge of intolerance here or something like that. Just want your understanding or your please share your thoughts on these two verses specifically.
So the thing is, when he says avajananti mam mudha manushim tanum ashrita, when I take shelter of manushi tanu means when I take shelter of a human form, then those who are fools will deride me, basically. So in that, Moghasha, Mogha Karmano, those people have failed hopes, failed desires, everything. But Bhagavan does not put them into a condition of permanent suffering, and Bhagavan does nothing to prevent their enjoyment. Bhagavan gives them enjoyment and suffering according to what principle? Param Karuna Prabhu, please tell me.
According to their own actions, according to their own karma.
Yes. In the Vedanta Sutra, there is a specific adhikarana taken up, a specific section taken up. And there is a sutra in Vedanta Sutra, and I would like to point out that sutra. This sutra is about Vaishamya and Nairghrinya of Bhagavan. Vaishamya and Nairghrinya means, is Bhagavan biased, and is Bhagavan cruel? So these two are taken up in the Vedanta Sutra. I will try to find these sutras. Vaishamya Nairghrinya. No. Let me find those sutras. So basically there is a adhikaran in Vedanta Sutra where it is said that Vaishamya Nairghrinya. There are two things which are not existing in Bhagavan. What are the two things that are not existing in Bhagavan? Is Vaishamya, biased nature. In the Bhagavad Gita, Samoham Sarva Bhuteshu, I am equal to all living entity, has said. So the Vaishamya is not there. Biased nature is not there. And Nairghrinya and cruelty based on biased nature is certainly not there. Both things are not there in Bhagavan. All right. Now, then why does he say that he's pushing some entities down into demoniac species and he's pulling somebody up into higher species? So the reason is Bhagavan is acting as a catalyst. That is what the sutra says. Bhagavan is, Prabhu, what is a catalyst? What is the meaning of a catalyst?
Which basically influences or initiates a reaction, but then the reaction goes on based on its own merits.
So basically a catalyst, what it does is it gives impetus to the reaction. So there is a sutra in Brahma Vedanta Sutra called Vaishamya Nairghrinya. Let me see. And it says that Bhagavan does not have these two characteristics. It's from the second adhyay, second chapter of Vedanta Sutra 2.134, Vaishamya Nairghrinya. And I will open this sutra, and Prabhu, you can try to read this sutra on your own. This is an English translation of Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan's Govinda Bhashya. Believe it or not, there was a good English translation done of Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan's Vedanta Sutra. Here it is, Prabhuji. So the second chapter, first pada, 34th sutra. So this is in Devanagari. Vaishamya Nairghrinyena na sapekshatva tathahi darshayati. Prabhuji, kindly read the English translation.
There exists no partiality and cruelty in the Lord, because the pleasure and pain suffered by beings has regard to their karmas, and so also the scriptures declare.
This is the conclusion of Vedanta Sutra. Now this is the commentary by Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan. In Brahman, in the Supreme Bhagavan as creator, there exists no fault of partiality or cruelty. The differences of condition in which creatures are born and the pleasure and pain which they suffer depend on their own karmas, and the Lord creates the environment in which the creatures are placed within the strictest regard to such karma. The proof of this is found in the scripture itself. Then Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan quotes Kaushitaki Brahman Upanishad. Srila Prabhupada also quotes this in 5th chapter, 15th verse of Bhagavad Gita. Esha hi evainam sadhu karma karayati. Tam yam anvanu nityesha evainam asadhu karma karayati tam yam ebhyo lokebhyo nunutsate. For he makes him whom he wishes to lead up from these worlds to a good deed. Basically, Bhagavan encourages people to do good deeds. Bhagavan encourages people to do evil deeds based on their previous karma. So that is what he says. Jivas get the condition of devahood, or they become gods to the will of the Lord. Similarly, they get the condition of denizens of hell through the same will of the Lord. The Lord is operative cause of the suffering and the enjoyment of the Jivas, but this will of Lord has always regard to the karma of the Jiva. So this is what it says. Another Acharya, Bhaskaracharya, gives another example. This example I really love very much. Sri Bhaskaracharya's example on this sutra. When you study sutras from multiple points, it gives you a lot of understanding. Bhaskaracharya says, Bhagwan's actions are like parjanya, are like rainfall. Prabhu, does rainfall fall only in one place, or does rainfall fall everywhere?
Everywhere.
Everywhere. Why is it so that from certain places in the ground, the best quality of rice grows, whereas from some other places in the ground, a cactus tree grows? What is the reason?
Attitude of the ground, or the property of the ground.
No, the ground is the same. What is different?
Oh, the seed that was sown.
Oh, obviously. Bhagavan is parjanya. And the Jiva has sown a particular seed. And Bhagavan is only acting as rainfall, encouraging that seed. That is Vaishamya Nairgranya. This is Sutra 2.134 of Vedanta Sutra. Whenever you have time, please see in detail, whenever, 2.134 Sutra of Vedanta Sutra. It answers all these questions about Bhagavan's partiality or cruelty. That is the conclusion given by Vyasadeva. I hope that answers your query to some degree of satisfaction.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I have a quick comment, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
Something I've learned recently is that if we're speaking to someone who doesn't have faith in our scriptures, then we should first speak about theology. And where it says we should learn both scripture and logic, I understand that to mean theology, logic of God. And so most people accept monotheism, but then rather than just saying, oh, well, your God is false, my God is real, we can say, well, what do you believe is the nature of God? Do you believe that God is all loving? Do you believe that God is all powerful? Well, what conception of God is most akin to that? A God who sends people to hell forever, or a God who has a law of karma and gives you unlimited chances? And so you can gradually win people over to the Vedic way of thinking without having to appeal to the scriptures directly. And then you introduce the scriptures and say, oh, well, here's where this idea comes from. And then people can start to have faith in those scriptures.
Wonderful, wonderful. So this is also taken up by Sri Jiva Goswami in Tattva Sandarbha. Before he takes up giving authority to the Vedas, before he says consider the Vedas as authority, he says human beings have 4 defects. What are the 4 defects? And he specifies the 4 defects there. And then he says, basically all literature written by human beings will also have those 4 defects. We need a literature which is free from the 4 defects and which was eternally available for all human beings without any bias. So that is, he starts from a logical point of view, theology. So that is very much appreciated. In the beginning, you can follow the approach of, speaking theology, but at some point of time, you have to inculcate Shastriya Shraddha in them. They have to have Shraddha in the Vedas. So that is, thank you. That is the answer to it.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Next we have Bhagavati Vasudha Mataji.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much for this very, very beautiful class. Always it's helping to come out of the hanging doubts and hanging questions from long time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Prabhuji, today we were concluding telling that Gaudiya Vaishnavas are so broad-minded. They include everyone and anyone, and they support every path, and they are very clear what they want, that we worship Radha Krishna, Radha Damodar. And few comments by Vaishnava Acharyas, you said we don't have to take everything completely. Like, for example, you said about Madhvacharya's comment that they allow only Brahmanas, but still we respect all the Madhvacharya followers because they are coming under the 4 Sampradaya. And they are sure to go back to Godhead because they have a parampara connected to Krishna.
Yep.
So, in what basis should we see these other paths? We should just respect as these four sampradayas, or should we encourage them to come under any of these four sampradayas? Like, for example, person who are following, we more see about people who are following Quran and Bible. So how do we see them, and should we preach to them or not? Srila Prabhupada always says, Jesus is telling that surrender to the Father. So they are also, Jesus is also telling to surrender to the same Bhagavan. And Quran also ends up telling the Lord is in black color. So that's also pointing our Bhagavan. So is this way correct? Should we encourage, let them be strong in their path, or they should?
See, the thing is, Srila Prabhupada initially encouraged followers of all religion to, he said, your paths are good, very nice. It's okay, if you follow your particular path, very good. And if you follow your path, very good. But then Srila Prabhupada was also an opposer of, as many paths, those many destinations. He was opposer of that. Srila Prabhupada very clearly said that the highest benefit is attained by following the path of bhakti. And he was very clear about this. When he came to the Western world, he came for propagating the path of bhakti. If his mood was that all paths are good, then why would he have propagated one path? That is the path of bhakti. He propagated one path because he was sure and he was convinced that bhakti is the path that all the living entities should follow. He knew some living entities would not take immediately to the path of bhakti. For example, sometimes he met some Christian priests. Sometimes he met some Islamic scholars. So one time he was in Iran and there were many dedicated Muslims sitting around him. He knew many of these people will not immediately take to Vaishnavism. So he told them, Sve Sve Adhikare, in your respective adhikars, you be situated. That is good for you. But from the Vaishnava point of view, if we know that some person is receptive to accepting Vaishnavism, then Srila Prabhupada always made him accept Vaishnavism. Take diksha, become a Vaishnava, shave your head, come to the temple. But if somebody did not have the immediate adhikar, then Srila Prabhupada encouraged them in their adhikar. So similarly, if we know that some person does not have an adhikar for, taking to Vedic life, let them be situated in their adhikar, but don't blaspheme Vedic literature. And if somebody has the adhikar to take to Vedic literature, let them take to Vedic literature. If somebody has a greater adhikar to take to Vaishnavism, let them take to Vaishnavism. So that is the answer. According to the adhikar which somebody can accept, they can be given an instruction accordingly. Right?
Okay, okay, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. But their path is not safe. That is clear.
Which
They are not pointing towards the ultimate goal. Because
see,
they are not.
in the Vedic path, those who are followers of those who are aiming for the impersonal Brahman, those who are aiming for Paramatma, those who are aiming for Bhagwan. These three paths are considered as paths for liberation. Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaniti, Shabdyate. These three are paths to liberation. Anybody who is aiming to merge into Brahman, anybody who is aiming to realize Paramatma, anybody who is aiming to realize Bhagavan. These three are considered as paths to liberation. Any other paths are not paths to liberation. Brahma, Paramatma and Bhagavan. These are the three features of the absolute truth. Although you may know, people may call Bhagavan in various names, but these are the three features of the absolute truth. Anybody who's aiming for one of these three is aiming for liberation. Anybody who's not aiming for these three, then they are aiming for something else. If they are within the Vedic path, still they are good. If they are non-Vedic path, if their path is against the Vedas, then that is not appreciated. So I hope that clarifies.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Next we have Bhavya Bhagavan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu Darshanam. Thank you for your class, Prabhuji. So, Prabhuji, I have a question like what Deepayan Prabhu and Paramakaruna Prabhu asked Prabhu. So, Prabhu, we find in Ishopanishad verse 9, Andham Tama Pravishyanti. Those who engage in the culture of nescient activities shall enter into the darkest region of ignorance. So, Prabhu, what is this darkest region of ignorance? Is it the hell which is being talked about? And also, Prabhu, like the Mayavadis, they land up in hell for eternity, or what is their destination like, Prabhu?
No. The first thing is अंधः तमः अंधम तमः प्रविशन्ति ये अविद्याम उपासते. So that is the verse of Ishopanishad that you have cited. Let me share the commentary of Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan, because this is our standard understanding in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. So I am sharing the commentary of Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan on this verse of the Upanishad. Here it is. Andham tamah pravishanti ye avidyam upasate. Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan says, avidyam vidyaya anya. That which is besides vidya is called avidya. Avidya karma tam kevalam upasate. Tam kevalam upasate. One who worship, those who only cultivate avidya. Kurvanti swargarthani karmani kevalam tatparah santah anutishtanti. So those who only aim for material enjoyment like heaven, etc., don't aim for the absolute truth. Te praninah, those living entities, andha, andham, adarshanaatmakam tamah agyanam pravishanti, samsara paramparam anubhavanti iti artha. They experience repeated birth and death. So the meaning of andha tama is they remain in darkness of ignorance of the absolute truth, and there they repeat, they have repeated birth and death in the material world. They get happiness and distress according to their karma. So that is the answer.
And what about Mayavadis, Prabhu? So they go to hell because, like,
who said?
They consider.
What is the reference of Mayavadis going to hell?
Because they don't accept the. I mean, I cannot at the moment give a scriptural reference, but
no, without scriptural reference, we cannot make a claim. If you want to make a claim, you have to have Shastra Praman. So without a Shastra Praman, we cannot make a claim. There are so many individuals who were previously Advaitavadis and who became devotees. Or even if they were Advaitavadis, they respected the path of Bhakti. How can we make extreme statements about them? If they respect the path of Bhakti, then we cannot say, make extreme statements about them. And especially many of them have good character. Even if though they may be Advaitavadis or Mayavadis, they have good character. They follow the principles nicely. It is said in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna aparadhi. They have done aparadh towards Krishna because they consider the form of Krishna to be material. That is the aparadh that they commit towards Krishna. But for that aparadh is not that they're going to go to hell or something. Nothing like that.
So even if they have some like slightest appreciation or are a little favorable to the devotees for their activities or their conduct, so they will be blessed by Krishna. Can we say that, bro?
There is a chance that if they come in contact with the devotees, they may turn towards the personal feature of Bhagavan, and thus, they may not be merged into the impersonal Brahman. So there is a chance. But let's say they end up merging in the impersonal Brahman. Is merging into the impersonal Brahman one of the liberations? Yes or no, Bhavya Bhagavan Prabhu?
Yes, bro.
So, there is a statement in Kaivalyam Narakayate. Merging into the impersonal Brahman also becomes hellish. But does that verse say that it is actual hell, or does it appear hellish? What does it say?
Yeah, it is apparently like hell.
It appears
because there's no service. Yeah.
Appears hellish for a devotee. Does it mean that it is literally equal to hell?
No.
No, obviously. There's a lot of joy in that particular liberation also. So poetic statements should not be taken out of their context. That is the answer to your query.
Thank you so much for it. Hare Krishna.
Next we have Divya Nitai Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandot Pranam Prabhuji. Prabhuji, question is how our previous Acharya they dealt with the extremist and in extreme situation when our temple were destroyed and the Vaishnavas were killed, or even now if some devotee face a situation, how they should be responding.
As I said in the talk, Sri Jiva Goswami always wanted to have desired to see a Vaishnava king ruling over the surface of Bharatvarsha. Sri Jiva Goswami has his final will, and this final will is preserved in the Vrindavan Research Institute. It is, before somebody leaves this world, they write a final will. This final will is what to do with my property. Now, Sri Jiva Goswami does not have any property as such, but he was in charge of the Radha Damodar temple. In Radha Damodar temple, the main thing is the deities, of Shri Radha Damodar and their seva paraphernalia. Sri Jiva Goswami knew that some miscreants may try to basically, take away these deities, or some miscreants may try to take away the paraphernalia, jewelry of Radha Damodar. So Sri Jiva Goswami says in his final will, and I am sharing this with you. Here is what he says. Yaha kaschid atra virodhi syat. Anybody who is who opposes the worship of Radha Krishna, sa eva khalu Shri Radha Krishna seva drohi syat. He is a drohi. He is basically an offender to the service of Shri Radha Krishna. Sarvair Vaishnavai Rajabhischa Dandyah Syat. He should be punished by all the Vaishnav rulers. That's it. It's his right there in his final will. Sarvair Vaishnavai Rajabhischa Dandyah Syat. So, as soon as, because see, nothing is permanent in the world, Vedic culture managed to survive the oppressive attacks of all the invading forces. And still today, we have a lot of the literature with us. And one of the reasons that Sri Jiva Goswami wanted to preserve all these literatures from all these schools, because you never know that from which school, which literature will have a certain point which will be very helpful to our system of knowledge. So Sri Jiva Goswami preserved all systems of Vedic knowledge. And Sri Jiva Goswami always wanted to have a Vaishnava king. It is described that once Sri Jiva Goswami was invited to the court of Akbar. Akbar was a Muslim king. And Akbar also had a lot of antagonistic attitude in his initial years against Sanatana Dharma. Once there was a debate in the court of Akbar, and the debate took place. Some people said Ganga is the greatest river and some said Yamuna is the greatest. So there were many Pandits who sided with Ganga. Now who will side with Yamuna? So very few people were there. So then Akbar said, no, there are not many people representing Yamuna. Who should be called to represent Yamuna? Well, there is one sadhu in Vrindavan. Who is he? Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhupada. He can come and represent Yamuna Devi in this, debate. So Akbar said, all right, call Jiva Goswami. So the news was, it reached Jiva Goswami that Badshah Akbar is calling you to Agra. Agra is very near to Vrindavan. He's calling you to Agra. He said, why? Because there is a debate on Ganga versus Yamuna and some people have taken sides with Ganga and you should represent Yamuna. Jiva Goswami said, I never leave Vrindavan. And I don't care about what, this Sabha decides. What Shastra has decided is in front of everyone. So, it doesn't matter to me what this Sabha decides. And I have taken a vow never to leave Vrindavan for even a single day. So that was conveyed to Akbar. Akbar told that please convey to Sri Jiva Goswami that early morning we will bring you and then you can have your debate, and before evening you will reach back. So not a single day you will have spent outside Vrindavan. Please come at least for half a day. So Sri Jiva Goswami agreed to go out of Vrindavan for half a day. And there he came in the court of Akbar, and Sri Jiva Goswami presented many references from Vyasadev's Puranas, where it is said that Yamuna is the direct wife of Bhagwan. And Bhagwan is, married Yamuna. It is there in the Bhagavatam 10th canto. Bhagwan married Yamuna Devi. All these things he presented. And then, Akbar was satisfied with the arguments on both sides. He said, although both rivers are great, but Yamuna is the personal wife of Bhagwan Shri Krishna. So he gave a lot of gifts to Jiva Goswami. Shri Jiva Goswami said, before I take any gifts from you, you should please know a few things. And Akbar said, what do you want? He said, instead of giving me gifts, can you do one thing? He said, what? He said, if you remove the taxes on all the Hindus, this is the term Jiva Goswami is. If you remove the taxes on all the Hindus, all the followers of Vedic Dharma, I will consider you a Vaishnava king. Because in those days, there was a tax simply on being a follower of Sanatana Dharma. This tax is called jizya in Islamic culture. You can research that. Jizya, jizya, tax on the disbelievers. So this tax was imposed on every follower of Sanatana Dharma. Sri Jiva Goswami said, if you remove this tax from the followers of Sanatana Dharma, I will consider you a Vaishnava king. Akbar said, I'll take it seriously and I will think about it. A few years later, Akbar removed the jizya tax. And it was one of the freedoms that followers of Sanatana Dharma got in their own land. They were taxed for being followers of Sanatana Dharma. So this is all that they had to go through. Finally, Jiva Goswami said, if anybody interferes with the service of Sri Radha Damodar, that person is a Vidrohi, that person is an envious person and should be punished by all the Vaishnava kings. Fortunately, by the arrangement of Bhagwan, and I'm very happy to say this, sometimes I feel happy to say this because I'm born in this particular land. In the land of Maharashtra, there appeared kings who uprooted the entire Mughal kingdom all the way till Delhi, was uprooted by kings who appeared in Maharashtra. And this was purely by the arrangement of, Bhagwan's energy that all of this happened. And all of those land was recovered, and there appeared a lady. I had spoken of this lady in there appeared a lady in India. Her name was Ahilya Bai Holkar. She rebuilt all the Shiva lingas which were destroyed by the invaders. So all of them were rebuilt by her. So this was basically Sri Jiva Goswami. If we would have heard all of this, that in the future somebody will come and reclaim it back, he would have been very happy. Definitely 100% he would have been in support of anything which keeps Vedic culture intact, because this culture is the most precious gift that we got. It is the most precious gift. This culture of having multiple schools of thought, of having vad samvad, of having discussions, of having various schools which respect each other but which critique each other's philosophical points. This is the best gift that Bhagavan has given to us. And this is how we should always remain. Otherwise, we will lose our variety. I sometimes say, all masalas are not supposed to be garam masala. So similarly, all schools are not supposed to be Vaishnavism. Some schools have to be Shaivism. Some schools have to be different. But they are all, as long as they are under the Vedic umbrella, they are to be respected and they should be allowed to peacefully coexist within the umbrella of Vedic culture. That is the answer to your query. Thank you.
Next we have Dipayan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for very beautiful answers today in the class also and question answers also. I have two questions, Prabhuji. Do you have time? Otherwise, I'll ask just one.
I think there is Ananga Mohan Prabhu waiting to ask the first question.
Yeah,
So
okay.
you can ask
Yeah,
one
yeah.
question, then we'll go to Anang Mohan Prabhu, and then we'll go to Madhav Prabhu, then we'll come back to you.
So, Shruti Shastra Nindanam. So you showed the category of Shruti, and then discussion went in this direction. Is there some other classification also that's remaining? I had heard that there is Agama and Nigama and
Yeah,
something
Shruti
else.
and Shastra means Smriti. So Shruti, Smriti, Nindanam. Nigam, Agama, Nindanam. Shruti is Nigam, Smriti is Agam, basically.
Okay, thank you.
Next, we have Ananga Mohan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Pranam. Thanks a
My
lot
friend.
for such a wonderful. Prabhuji, in context of the question of Nitai Prabhu, there are Vedic religions and there are Abrahamic religions and other which are not in pursuance with Vedic version. And there is a peaceful coexistence is mostly not possible as told by you in your answer also. So what is what should be the behavior of common Vaishnava apart from praying to the Lord for some Vaishnava rule or something like that? But in a common day-to-day paradigm, what should be the behavior of a Vaishnava in context to these religions?
See, a Vaishnava is automatically a follower of Sanatana Dharma. A Vaishnava or a follower of Sanatana Dharma should know two things. When there is peaceful time, that means when you are not being attacked physically, at that time, one should always philosophically analyze and be willing to critique those philosophical aspects of any other religion which is speaking against Vedas, because Vedas never spoke against anybody. But a follower of Sanatana Dharma should be willing to philosophically analyze and critique the points of certain points of other systems of other paths, other systems of religion which are speaking against peaceful coexistence. Because let's say if today those references in other literature were removed, references which speak against followers of Vedic culture, if those references are removed, peaceful coexistence will become possible. It will become possible. The collective consciousness of the society has to come together and say that these teachings of this religion are against peaceful coexistence of humanity. Therefore, these teachings should be removed. And if people don't come together and don't remove those teachings, then the Vaishnava should at least philosophically oppose those teachings, but not at every turn. But whenever needed, the Vaishnava should oppose. But when there is a physical attack, at that time, like Sri Jiva Goswami says, Vaishnavai Rajabhi Dandya Syat. You need a Vaishnav king or a Vaishnav ruler or a ruler who is favorable to Sanatana Dharma to take care of the entire thing. So that is also needed. So both things are needed. We should be favorable to rulers who are favorable to Sanatana Dharma, because a ruler who is favorable to Sanatana Dharma will ensure peaceful coexistence of everybody. And we should, when there is no war time, there is peace time. At that time, philosophical discussions, criticism of philosophical points should always go on, because those philosophical points are causing distress in the human society, and they are sowing the seeds of dissension in the human society. And at simultaneously, propagation of Bhakti Yoga and other Vedic schools should also go on, because that is what will ensure peaceful coexistence. See, Patanjali, I'm giving a very simple example. Patanjali from yoga school, Ashtanga Yoga school. In his Yoga Sutras, he has glorified the practice of bhakti. One of the sutras is Ishvara Pranidhanadva. By surrendering to Ishwar, one attains samadhi. He said in the Yoga Sutras. He has not critiqued any particular path. Today, Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga has taken over the world. There are more Ashtanga yogis in the world probably then followers, they are more dedicated to Ashtanga Yoga than they are dedicated to their own religion. Recently, there was an article in the news where the church was alarmed about the spread of Ashtanga Yoga in America. And it was specified, that the church was, not happy that, Ashtanga Yoga is being spread throughout America. But Ashtanga Yoga did not come with an intention to convert anybody, or Ashtanga Yoga did not speak anything against the church or anything like that. But they were, a little worried about Ashtanga Yoga spreading. Patanjali, about 2000 years after he has left this world, he has conquered the world in his absence. So this is the strength of one particular personality and his teachings. Srila Prabhupada, he also did something with Bhakti Yoga. These are schools which align with the Vedas. So we should understand these schools have capability of uplifting human society. And therefore, in our Vaishnavism, we are not against Patanjali. We don't speak anything against Ashtanga Yoga. We just say that Ashtanga Yoga is not the highest thing. We say Bhakti Yoga is the highest. The Ashtanga Yogis say, well, Bhakti Yoga is not the Ashtanga Yoga and Samadhi is the highest. Fair enough. No worries. Let there be these multiple Vedic paths, because different people have different tendencies. So that is all. Okay? We don't want to conquer everybody in the world by force. That is not our desire. All right. I hope that answers your query.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, I have to pass off to Paramakarna Prabhu.
Yes, sure. But thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Okay. So, Madhav Prabhu, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I had a little question about the nature of hell, something like which has always been like troubling me, like about the nature of the hell. So sometimes we see some very graphic descriptions about how we're gonna suffer in hell, or anybody for that matter is gonna suffer in hell. So sometimes it seems that a very heavy duty punishment is being administered for a very low sin or whatever for that matter. So like, have our Acharya said something about this? Have they tried to reconcile this?
Yeah. This will come up in the next class. There is something called as Arthavad. The next Namaparadha will be about Arthavad. So I will take up the subject matter of Arthavad next. But I just wanted to, I hope I have answered your, query. I'll take it up next time. But before that, because I said that, the church was alarmed about yoga spreading, so I had to show a reference to that. There's an article which was recent. There are many articles like this. This is one of the articles, Assemblies of God pastor says yoga has demoniac roots. Yogis respond by saying that's ludicrous. So you can see that, many, followers of existing religions which speak against, Vedic culture, they have become alarmed. And you can see here it is a Hinduism is demoniac. Yoga were created with demoniac intent to open you up to demoniac power, because Hinduism is demoniac. So this is the, thing which, by speaking against the Vedas, you will not attain any auspiciousness. Let's be very honest about it. By speaking against the Vedas, nobody will attain any auspiciousness. But unfortunately, there are individuals who are doing so. But Patanjali is smiling and saying, try as much as you want. I am giving direct results and I am contributing to the direct lives and health of millions of people worldwide. So this is what it is. Pratyaksha bhagavam dharmyam. You can see directly in the, direct experience of people. People are benefiting before they're taking. This is what it is. Bhakti Yoga. Let people take directly to Bhakti Yoga. Let them experience the happiness of Bhakti Yoga. This is how people are supposed to be treated, not with fear and contempt. That is. This was in continuation to answer of Anangamon Prabhu. But I hope I also, next time I will be able to answer your query better. What about statements which will take you to hell? You will go to hell for
that. Arthavad.
I'll explain the concept of Arthavad next time, because don't immediately conclude anything. I'll explain the concept of Arthavad next time. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Last question, at least as of now, is Deepayan Prabhu. I'll ask to unmute. Please unmute yourself.
Prabhuji, I have a question from last week's class. This Satam Ninda. I read one translation of Shri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary on Bhagavatam 6.2.9 and 10. So in that one line comes, brief comments are made about few of the Namaparadhas. So for the Satam Ninda in that commentary, it comes that there is no solution for it, only chanting continuously while suffering appropriately. Something like that is there in that commentary. And later I was thinking about it. So in Narottam Das Thakur's song, one line comes that Hori sthane aparadhe tare Harinam, tomar sthane aparadhe nahi paritran. But in Madhurya Kadambani, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, you showed the slide last week. He gives us some solutions for Satam Ninda. So how to understand this, I wanted to ask if you can clarify.
First and foremost, you will have to point out where in the, is he speaking about Satam Ninda, or is he speaking in the context of Ajamil, or what he is speaking about, that you'll have to point out. But one thing let me say, that what he's given in the Madhurya Kadambini is a detailed description of how to deal with the 10 Namaparadhas, and that he is not doing in the 6th canto. So the explanation in the Madhurya Kadambini should be taken as an exhaustive explanation of the Namaparadhas, because dealing specifically with the Namaparadhas. The 6th canto is specifically regarding the case of Ajamil. So statements made in the 6th canto may be in reference to the case of Ajamil. But statements in the Madhurya Kadambini are general statements made in regard to all Vaishnavas. So let's take it that way.
Okay.
Right.
So the solution exists, that is the conclusion.
Madhurya Kadambini gives the solution.
Yes.
That solution is the detailed solution. And wherever the Acharya is speaking in detail and in general, in speaking a general principle, not about the case of a Jamil or a specific person. Whenever he's speaking in case of a general for all Vaishnavas, that is a general instruction. For example, Srila Prabhupada has written what I quoted from Srila Prabhupada about Old Testament, New Testament and Quran. This is the general instruction written in his books. So this is his basically a general opinion which he has given. It is all applicable general opinion. So this is what it is basically. So general, and to certain individuals, to us, if he has met a Christian pastor, if he has met a Muslim individually, he might have said, oh, your path is also good, you are good, keep following your path. So those are general instructions or specific instructions? Depend on
general. Yeah, time, place, circumstance.
Yeah, so those are specific instructions to specific people. General instructions are there in the books. Right.
So that Vaishnav song also, that is not conclusion.
Hari sthane aparadhe tare Hari Nam. If somebody, commits an aparad towards Hari, Hari Nam will save him. Toma sthane aparadhe. But if somebody commits an aparad unto you, O Vaishnav Thakur, nahi paridra, nobody else will save him. Which means only you can save him.
Okay.
Sri Jiva Goswami says in the Sandarbhas, Bhuma Skhalita Padanam Bhumi Reva Valambanam. That those who fall on the ground have only the ground as their shelter. So those who commit an aparad towards Vaishnavas have only Vaishnavas as their shelter. That is the answer to your query. Right.
Yes, bro. Thank you very much.
All right.
Okay, that's the end of the queue, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
So I see that Dhāmeśvara Prabhu, are you still here to close the meeting?
Thank you very much, Paramakaruna Prabhu. So I invite all the participants to unmute and give a big thank you to Hari Prasad Prabhu.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Very beautiful class.
Thank you so much for amazing class.
Hare Krishna. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Hari Bol, Vasraj.
Really beautiful class.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
When I first started reading Hindu writings, there was a lot of emphasis on acceptance of all different ideas and religions. Somehow we don't have that sentiment so much in ISKCON. So it's really nice to see how you bring that back and balance it with all the points in the Gita, how we don't agree with everyone, but we respect everyone.
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for so much. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, see you all soon. Take care. Hare Krishna.
Bye. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna, Hare
Prabhuji.
Bol,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.